Hello, champions, and happy Thursday. We have 16 days left to prepare for the leap. I'm really proud of the preparation you've done so far, and we've got a lot more hard work to do. Let's dive right in. I know you can do it, and so does Mr. Smiles. Today we're going to divide by powers of 10. Let's start with a couple do now questions. First, the 5 and 25 and 834 thousandths is worth how many times as much as the 5 and 17 and 45 hundredths? Well, first I need to line my numbers up. 25 and 834 thousandths, 17 and 45 hundredths. I'm seeing how did I get from my second 5 to my first 5. What place is the 5 in 17 and 45 hundredths? It's in the hundredths place. What place is the 5 in 25 and 834 thousandths? It's in the ones place. To get from the hundredths place to the ones place, did I increase or decrease in value? I increased. How many places did I increase? 1, 2. If I increase 2 places, how many times as much is the first 5 worth than the second? It's worth 100 times as much, 2 places larger, or 10 to the second power larger. Now you try one. The 3 and 28 and 436 thousandths is worth how many times the 3 and 63 and 45 hundredths? I can see that to go from the ones place to the hundredths place, I need to decrease 2 places, or I need to multiply by 1/10 twice. So my answer is 1 over 100. Yesterday in my classroom we talked about comparing decimals. Remember, to compare decimals, we need to write them in standard form, then we can line them up and compare. So let's start with our first example. Which is greater, 3 times 10 plus 2 times 1 plus 4 times 1/10, or 32 and 39 hundredths? First, I need to write each number in standard form. What's 3 times 10 plus 2 times 1 plus 4 times 1/10, written in standard form? It's 32 and 4/10. So, which decimal is larger? Well, when I line them up, I can see that 32 and 40 hundredths is larger than 32 and 39 hundredths because 4 in the tenths place is larger than 3 in the tenths place. So the correct answer is that the first number is greater. Now you try one. Compare these two numbers, 5 and 16 hundredths, or 5 and 162 thousandths. The correct answer is that 5 and 162 thousandths is greater, because a 2 in the thousandths place is greater than a 0 in the thousandths place. Yesterday in science class, you learned how to multiply by powers of 10. So let's do a couple together. 3 and 57 hundredths times 10. First, when I multiply by 10, how many times do I need to move the decimal to the right? I need to move it 1 time, because that's 10 to the first power. So, when I multiply 3 and 57 hundredths times 10, what's the result? Well, 3 and 57 hundredths times 10 moves the decimal 1 time, so I get 3, 35, and 7/10. Now you try one. What's 2 and 8/10 times 1,000? Make sure to write your answer with no comma. Well, when I move the decimal 1, 2, 3 times, the answer is 2,800. Yesterday we multiplied by powers of 10. Today we're going to divide by powers of 10. Yesterday we moved the decimal to the right to show place value increasing. When I divide by powers of 10, I'm going to move the decimal to the left to show the place value decreasing. So let's do a few examples. What's 1,734 divided by 10? Well, I need to move the decimal to the left 1 time because 10 is 10 to the first power. I don't see a decimal in my number. What place does the decimal always come after? The decimal always comes after the ones place. so I can imagine a decimal after the 4. To divide by 10, I'm going to move that decimal once to the left. So 1,734 divided by 10 is 173 and 4/10. Let's try another. To divide by 100, how many times would I need to move the decimal to the left? Well, 100 is 10 to the second power, so I would need to decrease 2 places. So I'd need to move my decimal once, twice. 1,734 divided by 100 is 17 and 34 hundredths. Let's try another. What's 1,734 divided by 1,000? Well, how many times would I need to move the decimal this time? I would need to move it 3 times. So I'm going to go once, twice, 3 times. The correct answer is 1 and 734 thousandths. Now if I divide by 10,000, how many times will I need to move the decimal to the left? Well, 10,000 is 10 to the 4th power, so I'll need to move it 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. The correct answer is 0 and 1,734 ten-thousandths. It works the same way if I'm dividing by tens written as powers. So if I had 5 6/10 divided by 10 to the first, how many times would I need to move the decimal to the left? I would need to move the decimal to the left 1 time. What would be my result? Well, if I move the decimal to the left 1 time, I get 56 hundredths. If I divide by 10 to the second power, how many times do I need to move the decimal to the left? I need to move it 2 times. So I could move it once, twice, and fill in zeros. What's my result? Well, 5 6/10 divided by 10 to the second power is 56 thousandths. Now let's divide by 10 to the third power. How many times do I need to move the decimal to the left? I need to move the decimal 3 times. Once, twice, 3 times. I can fill in zeros. So my answer is 56 ten-thousandths. Now you try a couple. What's 284 divided by 100? First, where would the decimal go in the number 284? The decimal always comes after the ones place. How many times would I need to move the decimal to the left? I would need to move it 2 times, because 100 is 10 to the second power. So, when I do that division, what's my result? Well, when I move the decimal once, twice, I get 2 and 84 hundredths. Now let's try another. 36 2/10 divided by 1,000. To divide by 1,000, how many times do I need to move the decimal to the left? I need to move the decimal 3 times to the left, because 1,000 is 10 to the third power. So, what result do I get when I divide? Well, I move the decimal once, twice, 3 times. So, I get 362 ten-thousandths. Now you try a couple. What's 4 8/10 divided by 10 to the second power? Well, I would need to move the decimal once, twice to the left, so I would get 48 thousandths. What's 5,397 divided by 10 to the third power? Well, the decimal starts after the 7, and I'd move it once, twice, 3 times, so my answer is 5 and 397 thousandths. You've done a great job. Now it's time to get some practice. Go to IXL and choose skill J1. Try to get a SMART score of 100.